earGROUND.
Hello, greetings, and welcome to earGROUND New Voices Amplified. This is a platform where we speak to African creatives spread across the continent. And today we happen to get the opportunity to speak to the man of the moment. He's an entrepreneur, a blogger, a presenter. You know, he does so many things, but his work and footprint within the creative space has been felt, especially in the past week in Zimbabwe, because of one particular episode. From the episode, I'm going to be speaking to Mr. Darryl Nyamz. Welcome to earGROUND.
What's good, brother?
I'm good. I mean, it's always, for me, it feels a bit strange to actually have you as guest for so many reasons, because we work together on the Hip Hop Summit and we are good comrades. But I've known you as an artist before, you know, and then you transitioned to media, and now you're an entrepreneur, and now you're also having your own podcast, you know, and now again, you're the most trending man in Zimbabwe right now.
That is ridiculous. I appreciate that, brother. It's crazy how we met because I was trying to be a rapper at the time. I was trying to jump on Jibilika, which is one of your previous projects. You know, maybe I wasn't that great. You were never that honest with me as far as my music is concerned, you know. But all I knew is when I watched you work, all I knew was I had to figure out a way to diversify and find my way into the game, which is when we started SA Hip Hop Mag.
Wow. And if you look back with what you've done and what you've accomplished now, what sort of feeling does that give to you? Because I know, like, with our backgrounds, it's always a struggle to actually say, I want to get into the creative space as a profession.
Yeah. I think that when I look back, my journey is very interesting because the things that I got to do through, obviously, my passion as I started with dreams to be a rapper, a musician, right?
Yes.
So I remember I met you at Book Cafe. That's what we used to do. There was open mic nights on Mondays, you know, which is where I met people like Pro Beats, Shaki, Karma, you know, a lot of artists, you know, that were coming up at the time. Shit, that I lost the question. What was that? Say that again, sorry.
Yeah, no, I was asking in terms of the feeling that it gives to you, like when you look back.
Yes. So Book Cafe, which is where I met a lot of these guys. And when I was there and I got to interact with people like you, Munya Blogo, you know, I quickly realized that for me to have relationship with other musicians and for me to be accepted in the music world, I had to come with something else rather than just being a musician, which is when I approached 980 Digital and I told them I wanted to have their youth village in Zimbabwe. That's when we started Youth Village Zimbabwe.
Great.
Yes. So that through Youth Village Zimbabwe, then I started meeting artists. I remember interviewing Amara Brown, 10 Diamond, Rocky, and all these artists. How, like, you know, I started having a feel for the industry was like through that, you know. Yeah, so I'll attribute that to me wanting to be a rapper, but then also being open to try other things. You know what I mean?
Great. And you got into the SA Hip Hop Mag. You managed to connect with virtually everyone within the industry. And we're having this conversation just a few days after the passing on and sad, very tragic passing on of hip hop icon from the continent, aka may he so rest in peace. Is this somebody that you had an interaction with, and what are your memories or experiences of interacting with aka if you had that chance?
You know, it hasn't set in. You know, I haven't. It hasn't really set in as far as I'm concerned because this is someone who, you know, I met. AK was the first artist I met when I got to South Africa. You know, when I was running SA Hip Hop Mag, they invited us to his Levels Unlocked documentary when his album went platinum. So he had a documentary that they had the private screening when he was dating DJ Zim. You know, we were at this private screening. You know, I think I have the picture on Facebook. And fast forward a couple years, last year is when we started having a personal relationship. So I did an interview of AKA Last year, I had some scenes that went viral, like in Nigeria, when I asked him if he was safe in Nigeria because of his beef with Burna Boy, and from there, I remember King 98 had come to South Africa and we had linked up. The one thing that he said to me was, I just want to shake AKA's hand, because he's also a fan of AKA. And I said, no, it's all good, I was going to try and reach out to them. But before I reached out to AKA and them, where we were going for lunch, where we got to have lunch at Jameli in Bryanston, AKA pulled up with his mother, and we stayed sitting down. Obviously, I'll need that Zungo, Mauna Celeb, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So we still just sat down and continued eating. AKA walked in, went into a private. He saw us. He saw us from his peripheral. He went into the private room. There's a private room they have. Sat his mother down, and then he came out, walked through the whole restaurant, and came to greet us. Just to say what's up. Good to see you. Whatever the case was. Which just gave me, the more times I interacted with him, then I saw him at Ivy San, then I saw him different places. The narrative about, obviously persona that he has on the internet, so arrogant and mean, this mean guy, wasn't who he was in real life. Every time I saw him, it was so much love, whether he was pouring alcohol for us or making noise when you step in a place as if you're the celebrity, but he's the celebrity. You know what I mean? Just showing love, and you're so caring, which is why a lot of people in the industry really adored him. He was just overall, man, a great guy from my experience.
Wow. And what does this mean to the industry? What does this mean to hip hop in Africa, on the globe, losing AKA?
AKA was, I love this thing he said to me. He said that because in South Africa we had a problem for a long time in the hip hop industry where it was the 5 rappers, AKA Casper, Nasty C, MT, KO. It's like no one else could break through. So they were like on top for such a long time until Amapiano brought down hip hop. So a lot of people were saying hip hop did not progress or was falling off and losing to Amapiano because there were no rappers being allowed in the industry. And then AKA was like, no, a lot of other rappers have been allowed in the industry, but just like any other organization, there needs to be leaders, So he was one of these figures who were leading the hip hop community constantly. Whenever things got boring, you'll spice it up by starting a beef or releasing some great music, like he just did now with Lemons and Lemonade, which is a groundbreaking record. So it's a big, big loss for the industry. It's a big, big loss, not just for South Africa, just for the whole continent, So we're going through a tough time right now.
It's said, I watched him at Shoko Festival. Yeah, we're together when we the other year. It was 2016, I think. No.
Yeah.
No, we watched MT.
2016. We watched MTS 2017.
Yeah, 2017.
Yes.
Yeah, 2016. I watched him perform, and I watched him, enjoy his time when he was watching Winky D perform. Yes, and I could actually see that this guy was really a people person. He loved people. He loved to connect, and when he got into a space where there are more people, he would take off his celebrity jacket off, kind of vibe. And I also watched, I think there was this business podcast or interview that he had, which is on YouTube, and he shared quite a lot of profound things there in terms of creative entrepreneurship and so forth. Yeah, may his soul rest in peace. And it's such a dark moment.
It's a dark moment.
Yeah. Last week you were trending. You had trending content. The interview that we had with Holy 10.
Yes.
Did you see that coming?
So that was my first time meeting Holy 10. When Holy 10 steps up and they drive into the Airbnb we're staying in, he drives in with his team. He comes to greet everybody. When he got to me, he says, "Hi, I'm Holy 10, but you already knew that." From that moment, I knew like that interview was not going to be anything that I was used to doing. Just his personality is not the normal one. No. Yeah. Wow. So I did anticipate it being big though, but not this big.
And what was the atmosphere like before you started the interview?
Before we started the interview, I
Mm-hmm.
think because he approached me like that, for
Mm-hmm.
me it got just a little bit tense. I was like, because personally, I've interacted with some of the biggest stars. I've interviewed Stone Boy from Ghana, who's been
Mm-hmm.
nominated for a Grammy. I've interviewed all these big stars.
Yes.
So for me, it was like, come on, man, like you don't come with that attitude, because we're
Mm-hmm.
people. Let's just connect as people. So I got a bit tense. But when we sat down before we started the interview, I just had a brief conversation with him, and I think he was able to cool down the room. He has a very big personality, so he was able to sort of control the room and make everyone very comfortable through making subtle jokes and stuff like that, which is something I appreciated.
And you were in touch with him. I mean, I've seen a lot of comments, people saying, you know what, before we get into the details of the conversation, a lot of people suggesting that he was high on something. Is it something
Yeah.
that you'd, what's your take on that? Like people that are suggesting that Holy Ten on that interview, he was intoxicated somehow.
Um, you know, okay, so on set, we are actually drinking. I am also drinking. So we are having some Jägermeister. We are drinking on set. So, I mean, was he drinking something? Yes, he was drinking. But from the comments, what I see is they're saying that he's taking drugs. Well, alcohol is a drug, so I'm not sure if that's what they're referring to. If he did anything else, I don't know. I didn't see him. You know what I mean? But I don't think you're taking something else. We had been drinking. We did drink.
But was he drunk? Was he drunk like by the time that he started having the conversation or he got deep? Do you think he was drunk by then? Why I'm asking so is to just try and pick the state of his mind when he was responding to the questions that
No,
we
no,
were
his
asking.
response. I don't think he was drunk. No, he wasn't drunk.
So do you think that his responses were from a very conscious level, being alert, knowing what he was saying and what he wanted to communicate, conveying it in the best way that he wanted?
Yes, 100%. I think that his responses are. So here's what I think. I think that he has done a couple interviews before this one, but I don't think that he felt comfortable to really share how he feels. Do you know what I mean? But I think this time around, maybe from the room and the rapport that was in the room, he felt comfortable to be honest, because I've seen him, like I watched him on shout out DJ Ola, I watched him on Ola's
Yeah,
show, and
yeah.
he said, when he was asked about Winky D, he said the same thing that he said in the end he says, "Thank you for showing love, da da da." Winky D, the PR response.
Yes.
He gave that response, but he wasn't willing to go deep into how he really feels about the situation. So I think that he knew exactly what he was doing.
Do you think, from based on his responses, do you think that his responses were out of any pressure or any external forces or circumstances that may have really pushed him to say what you said, or it's something that came out of his own will? This pressure maybe from you as the host or anything else that you may think could have contributed to him speaking in that way?
I think that when we say speaking that way, we mean speaking his mind. What I picked up was, for most of us, me included, during the sit down, because the way Holiton speaks, he speaks like a poet. You understand?
Yeah.
Because he is a modern day poet. After the interview, what I took away is he's a mad genius. He's a crazy genius, like Kanye West. Kanye West will say something and we all don't understand what he's saying. So what Holiton said was what I picked up after I realized that he was expressing that he was sort of here's how I felt. I don't want to get sued, right? Like he said, it sounds like people are getting sued a lot. So he says that Eve, you know, played a role in eating the apple. She knew exactly what she was doing. She had all the information when it came to her eating this apple because God had told her, don't eat the apple. And also, the serpent was very clear about her eating the apple. Okay. But what he was saying was, when he recorded this song, he did not know the context of what the song was about. Do you understand? So he felt like he was tricked. I feel like that's the metaphor that he was trying to put out. But we kind of misunderstood it to say he's Eve. I don't
But
know.
I mean, if
I
if he says he doesn't know the context, and then he goes on to say that he doesn't, for all the features, when he brings on somebody on board for his project, he
yeah,
writes the lyrics. But
yeah,
and I assume that when he's brought onto a project, his own contribution there, he writes on his own.
yes.
So I assume the lyrics on the song Ibotso on from his part were his compositions.
I assume so too. Yes.
Right. So at what point did then the context change for him to realize that this content is not what I actually agreed to
Signed
be
up
part
for.
of? Like, because the song didn't change. He's saying, like, unless if he says he
The verses
sang.
went there. Unless he says he sang and the verses from Winky went on the song. Unless he says the verses from Winky D went on the song when he recorded. Unless he says when he got in the studio, they had a beat and Winky said, I want the song to be like this. Write your song based on this topic. And then Winky builds around his verse. That's what I assume from that whole serpent analogy, because he says he was involved. I didn't even know that I was eating an apple. That's what he's saying. To say that he didn't even know, like, the song is. Yeah, go ahead.
What do you think he termed as the apple? Because I listened to the song and I still find nothing wrong with the song. Like for him to call it an apple, like what do you think makes him feel like that was an apple? Because the song is a bit general in terms of just the situation, that's prevailing, which I would not consider political. I mean, it's general commentary that's also happening in all facets of society.
True. So maybe I would assume that the song might not be the apple, but the whole album is the apple, based on what DJ Fantan posted, based on what they posted on how the funding for the album came about.
No, but that's not proven.
It's not.
So, but in your after conversation with him, did you feel like he regretted anything that he said, or he was unsure about anything that he may have said during the interview?
My brother, when we dropped the snippet, the first snippet we dropped was the Winky D snippet. I sent it to him. I sent him the interview before it was released. I sent him the snippet as soon as we dropped it. His response said, "Oh yo." You understand? Because I sent it to him. It's not like we just released something and didn't let him know. No, I sent it to him to say, watch this. You understand? He said, "Oh yo, let's drop it. Let's go." So he didn't regret anything. He didn't regret anything at all. He has no regrets.
So you think he doesn't regret what has happened?
No, he does not regret. I sent it to him. He saw it. When the thing was trending, he saw it. And I told him, we're dropping the interview at this time. He said, "Hoyo, drop that thing." I dropped it and I sent him the link. He said, "Send me the link." I sent him the link. He never complained about anything. All I saw was him getting ready to drop another song. So he doesn't regret anything, brother.
So, I don't want to make this conversation about royalty, but obviously this is an interesting subject. Right now, if you to think of what could be going on in his mind, what do you think is happening in his mind? Because he has lost 7,000 followers, right? Which could be an indicator, but he also gained some brand ambassadorship deal. What do you think is going on in his mind right now?
What would you prefer, 7,000 followers or brand ambassadorship?
I would prefer the brand ambassadorship.
Because you probably get paid.
Because it's sustained by the numbers that I
have. I mean, I think 7,000 is insignificant. I think that his relevancy, his relevancy hit a plateau. I think he just hit another level through him saying that. I was having anxiety. The amount of people who were calling me, I had calls from London, US, Canada, calling me, Australia, like people I haven't spoken to in 10 years. This thing is blowing up, it's trending everywhere. So I went to bed and I went to sleep. I went to sleep and I woke up in the morning with anxiety. You understand? What helped me is I was traveling the next day. So at least I got to be off my phone, but I was so anxious because the comments were going off a bit too much. In an hour, there was like 1,000 comments. You know what I mean?
Wow.
So I think that that level of talkability, that level of relevance, it then depends what you are going to do with it. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. And what do you think is going to do with it? Do you think it's going to sink in? Do you think it's going to be cancelled?
Man, that boy, the interview dropped today, the next day, a music video is out.
So do you think he's stubborn or is determined? How would you describe it?
I was saying that we're a very conservative society, right?
Mm-hmm.
And which sort of stifles artists, because when the society is looking down upon a musician who is doing a lot of guka and drugs, usually in most societies, an artist is a reflection of the society.
Mm-hmm.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah,
The artist, but the thing is, the artists are part of that society, but they're just an example of what's going on in that society. So when we see Lil Wayne in America drinking lean, right? Bro, codeine, right? It's not just Lil Wayne. There's a lot of young people that are doing lean in America.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You understand what I'm saying? So artists are usually an example of the society.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
But do you think then in this it's the reflection of what's happening, or what Horily 10 stands for right now is a mirror of the society, or it's actually the other way around, that he is influencing society?
He is both. He is influencing society, and he is a mirror of society.
And will he be cancelled? Like, is the cancel culture going to apply on Horily 10?
Nah, man, nah. You won't be cancelled. You won't be cancelled. I think that what always saves you is your music and your talent. I think that he is gifted enough to continue making hit records. Once he makes a hit song, there is no way we're going to keep hating him. There is just no way. Even this song that he just released, that's a great record. And I saw a lot of people saying, Imboko, Kasi, song, look at the comments, it's like, yeah, how are you gonna deprive yourself of listening to a record because you don't agree with someone's views on life?
Yes.
That doesn't make any sense.
And
I don't agree with everything. I don't have to agree with everything that you do, Plot. Mm-hmm. You don't have to agree with everything that I do, but I can respect parts of Plot. I can respect things that Plot does. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. But you feel Zimbabwe is not ready for such kind of conversations?
I don't think people are ever ready. I don't think people are ever ready, but I think it always takes those that are willing to push the envelope. We weren't ready for urban grooves. Zimbabwe wasn't ready for urban grooves. But when Moyo and his gang came through, when Professor came and he said, yo, we need to push this thing, everyone all of a sudden could appreciate this new wave of artists. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. We weren't ready for Zim Dancer to take over the way he did. I was in Mandara there. But you know what I'm saying? We weren't ready, but it just takes for those who are willing to push the envelope. And I think that's what we need. I think that as a society, we're at a place where we really need to push forward, because we need to play the global game now.
And do you think Zimbabwe is ready for that global game? Like right now, a lot of movements are happening. I was speaking to Tenny just a few days ago, and I realized how conscious and deliberate the Nigerian artists are in terms of advancing into the global space. But do you think that Zimbabwean artists are ready, are able to move in that direction? Where do you see us, Zimbabwe music, pop music?
Yeah, I think that as far as ability, we do have. The only problem in Zim is that I don't think there's enough managers that are willing to study and invest their money to get on the bus, go to South Africa and learn from the guys there, go to Botswana, go see what's going on in Zambia, go see what's going on overseas. I think that the problem is not necessarily the creatives, but to create an industry, we need the whole value chain. You know what I mean? Yeah. We need to study and learn, like what you do. You know what I mean? Like the shows, now you're producing these shows, if they ask me to count how many people have come up under what you have been doing, it's a lot.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot. So I do think we do have what it takes. We just need the funding. The people with money need to put the money in the right places to actually build the industry, not to put money so that you benefit for personal gain. You understand what I'm saying?
Kind
That's
of
the difference between us and the Nigerians.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So are you saying the kind of investment will not work, will not uplift the industry in Zimbabwe?
Because it's not to uplift the industry. The Mbinga approach is to uplift an individual, not to uplift the industry. So you might be able to put I don't do peace. What did you?
No, I'm saying there's no passion for the industry there.
Oh, there's no passion. Okay. I got you. Yeah. So the Mbinga approach, there's no passion for it. It's to build an individual, not to build the industry. We need to come in and put our money together and build the industry. And I also think that as we rebuild, Zimbabwe's image to the world, it's important for us to empower these artists and build structures and build this entertainment industry, because for a lot of people to want to travel to Lagos or party in Lagos, it's because of the entertainment industry. That pulls people in to want to come in. So we also need to sort of invest in that as well, to invest in the entertainment industry, the arts, to make sure they showcase our country in a positive light around the world.
Oh, great. And the episode podcast, could you just tell us a bit about that and what this means? You come into Zimbabwe, right? You drop this one single podcast and you set the whole scene alight. But even before then, you had the Nadia Nakai episode that went viral in Zimbabwe. What does that mean to you? Like, are podcasters in Zimbabwe really pushing, working, or there is just more space for you to push content? What does that mean to you?
That's a great question, Plot. I think that I'm very, very excited by what's that podcast? Where's the tuners? Danny J. Yeah. I love the Danny J podcast. I also love DJ Ola. I think he's incredible. Yes. I feel like there is a lot of space for podcasters. I think we need more podcasters to come in the space and create as much content as possible. I'm very, very excited by what's going on in Zim, but more so my mindset has shifted from just a Zim mindset. That shifted when I went to SA. And now that I've been able to travel a bit more, my mindset is now focused on Africa. I've understood that it's not just about geographical location. As a content creator, you need to understand the whole landscape. So as soon as I left Zim, I flew to Botswana. There's some work that I'm doing in Botswana. I'm not going to announce anything. And I flew back to SA, did a couple things there. When I go back to Africa, I'm going to Ghana. There's some work that I'm going to do in Ghana as well. So just the mindset is we need to have a continental mindset. We need to sort of shift the way we're thinking. And for me, that's my approach. I'm going to do 2-3 episodes in Zim, and I'm going to move to Botswana. I'm going to move to Ghana. I'm going to move to Namibia. I'm not funded. No one is funding me. I'm just putting in my own money, and I'm ready to work. You know what I mean? That's just my mindset.
Man, that is great, and thank you so much. It's been awesome. We definitely want to have another interview with you. I shared a lot of interesting insights there because I know most of the focus has been on Holy 10, and I said to myself, hey guys, are you not seeing the person who's driving the conversation there? Are you not seeing how intelligently we've managed to actually get perspectives that ordinarily would not be able to actually get if it was our traditional way of doing things? So large up for just pushing the envelope and doing things in a disruptive manner. I applaud that because you did that with SA Hip Hop Mag, and you also pushed the conversations with the Zim Hip Hop Summit, and continue doing the great work that we're doing. Is it viable to actually be running a podcast? Is this something that somebody could consider as an enterprise?
I definitely think so. I mean, the world is moving online. You know what I mean? I definitely think there's a big opportunity as long as you're willing to push. The only problem is people want to see profits after 1 year. But there's no business like that. Most businesses, you start breaking even between 3 to 5 years. So if you're willing to push and be consistent for that long, then definitely, podcasting is going to be so huge.
Oh, great. Well, it's been awesome. I've been speaking there to Darryl Nyamz, who's an entrepreneur. He's a creative entrepreneur. He does quite a whole lot of things within the creative space, but also his enterprises with Shara Hair. Large up for what the work that you guys are doing in empowering women. I follow you, and I'm quite fascinated and impressed by the work that you guys are doing.
I appreciate you so much, my brother.
Awesome. So yeah, there you have it. This is an episode of the podcast on earGROUND, where we'll be having in-depth conversations with creatives from across the globe and talking about different interesting issues. And today we're talking about the most recent developments from AK, Holy 10, and a whole lot more about the Zimbabwean industry. Until next time, remember, I'm out. earGROUND. Peace.
Showbiz will never sound the same again. earGROUND.